Hello friends, welcome to another heart-stopping story. If you enjoy the fear hidden in darkness, then this story is for you. Make sure to listen till the very end. And yes, do subscribe to the channel. Your small support makes us happy and motivates us to bring you more stories like this. Now begins today's scary tale. Delhi's Kashmiri Gate bus station. The time was midnight. A thin young man named Vivek stood on the platform wearing blue jeans and a white hoodie. He was slightly intoxicated and scrolling through his phone. Vivek had to go to his village, Chapra, but the last bus had already left. Just then, an old and strange bus stopped at the platform. On it was written Route Vinci Sechiminu Chapra. How strange, Vivek muttered. This bus wasn't even on the timetable. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat, but his face was completely hidden in shadow. Without saying a word, the bus door opened and Vic hesitated, but then stepped. Inside the bus was very clean from the inside, but completely empty. The seats looked brand new, yet the atmosphere was dead silent. Vic asked the driver, "Sir, will this bus go to Chapra?" The driver did not respond, just kept staring straight ahead. It felt odd to Vivek, but he quietly went to the back and sat by a window seat. While later, an elderly woman entered, wearing a completely white sari, her head covered with the palluan. Her hand was an iron stick. She slowly asked Vivek if she could sit beside him. Her voice was weak, yet sweet. "I don't know, Oma." The driver doesn't say a word, Vivek replied when she asked how long the bus would take to leave. Suddenly, the bus door closed on its own without any signal or sound. The bus started moving. The roads outside were deserted, flickered as if preparing for a horror scene inside the bus. There was no sound, no radio, no horn, not even the engine, only silence. Then, from beneath the seat, came a faint rustling noise. Vic bent down to look, but saw nothing. He glanced at the old woman. Her eyes were closed, as if she were meditating. Suddenly, the lights in the bus went out for a moment. When they came back on, every seat was now occupied. Strange, identical faces stared at Vivek. Without blinking, his throat went dry. He turned to look. The old woman was no longer there. "Uma," he whispered again. Came that rustling sound, but louder this time. The bus windows now showed not the outside world, but thick black smoke, as if the bus was heading into another realm. Then, in the front mirror, Vivek saw the driver's face. He had no eyes, only deep, empty sockets. Vic stared at the reflection. Frozen, that face didn't even seem human. The empty eye sockets somehow managed to smile without moving the lips. Terrified, Vivek turned his head. The seat beside him was empty. The old woman had vanished. "Amma," he called again, but there was no reply. The bus now drove deeper into the darkness. The road outside now looked as if it had turned into a tunnel through the windows. The darkness seemed alive, as though it was swallowing the bus whole. Vivek stood up, his heart pounding. He looked back. The people sitting in the other seats were still staring straight at him. No one blinked. No one moved. Suddenly, from one of the seats at the back came a faint sound, "Help." Vivek slowly walked towards it. The voice was coming from seat number 17. When he leaned closer, he saw Oma sitting there, but her face had completely changed. Her eyes were red, her face covered in deep wrinkles, and her lips were trembling. She grabbed Vivek's hand and whispered, "This is not a bus, my son. This is a path between death and fear." Vivek's chest tightened in terror. He tried to pull Amma up, but her body felt lifeless, as if she were only a shadow. I want to get down," Vivek shouted and ran towards the driver. The driver was still sitting in the same position, but this time, he turned his head towards Vivek, and his smile grew even wider. "No one gets off from here," the driver spoke for the first time. His voice was like metal scraping against something sharp. Vivek reached for the brakes and tried to stop the bus, but the gear, brakes, and steering, everything was jammed. The bus was speeding up. Then, with a violent jolt, it came to a halt. The door opened, but outside there was no road, no forest, Only an abandoned station-like place everywhere stood old poles and broken benches scattered around. Ash floated in the air. The first passenger got off here, the driver said. Now it's your turn. Vivek turned around the bus. Seats were now all empty and Amma was sitting in the driver's seat. The real driver's burnt body lay scattered on the floor. Vivek's breathing quickened. Amma's face was now unrecognizable, half-burnt, eyes sunken, lips sewn shut with black thread. Oma, Vivek stammered. Trembling violently, the charred corpse of the driver still lay on the floor. The bus door was still open outside. The deserted station-like place looked strange. Drowned in dim light, ash swirled everywhere, and the air carried the stench of burning flesh. Get off, Vivek. Uma's voice was no longer the same. It sounded like many voices speaking together. No, I will take you with me, Amma. We'll both go back. Vivek shouted, there is no return from this path. A terrifying, echoing voice rang from every corner of the bus. Suddenly, the windows began to make scratching sounds, like fingernails clawing against glass. Vivek turned and saw faces appearing on the bus windows. The same passengers who had been inside earlier, they now stood outside, surrounding the bus. Their eyes were pure white, and their faces carried only one expression: silence. Vivek leaped out of the bus. The ground outside was cold, and the moment his feet touched it, all sounds stopped. The wind died down, and the bus stood still. But now Oma was gone, and so was everyone else.
There was no door, no road, no path in sight. The place looked like a vast empty field, with nothing but a bus stop-like structure. Standing in the middle far away, Vivek saw a board that read, "Entry is allowed, but there is no exit." He could not understand what to do then. Someone placed a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see a middle-aged man, hair disheveled, clothes torn, and eyes filled with deep fear. "So, you've come too," the man said softly. What is this place?" Vivek asked, his voice trembling. "This is the shadow of fear," the man replied. "Anyone who keeps running from their fear is brought here by this bus. Time doesn't move here, and no one ever goes back." Vivek felt himself breaking inside. "But, my Amma." His eyes welled up. The man pointed downwards. The bus was still there, but slowly fading into the mist from its windows. Amma was staring out at him, but now her eyes held no recognition, only emptiness. The bus vanished into the fog. Completely, Viv sank to his knees, tears in his eyes and dread in his heart. A dread that only comes from losing someone you love. "What is this place?" Vivek asked in a broken voice. "This is punishment," the man said quietly. "Punishment for fear." "What did I do?" Vivek shouted. "Those who bury their fears, those who run from them, this bus calls to them. It takes them to a place they can never return from." The man gazed into the distance. "How long have you been here?" Vivek asked. Shivering, the man gave a hollow laugh. "Time stops here. I don't remember when I came. Maybe it was when I ran from my son's death." Vivek noticed. The man's eyes were completely black. Perhaps he was no longer human. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from behind. Vic turned. Black shadows were rising from the ground, as if the earth's buried. Fears had awakened. "Come, it's too late now," the man said. "If you want to save your soul, either run or face your fear." The shadows began to take human forms. One shadow looked exactly like the woman from Vivek's childhood dream, the one who wept at night under burning lamps. Another shadow looked like the night when he had hidden quietly in his room, watching his father die. Every shadow was a hidden fear of his own. Vivek stepped back, but his foot slipped and he fell to the ground. The shadows moved closer. On each face there was only silence. No scream, no words, just heavy, suffocating stillness. Then, suddenly, a sharp whistle pierced the air. Vivek looked. The bus had returned. The door opened slowly, but there was no one inside. He stood up. Uncertain, was this another trap or another chance? From behind, the man shouted, "Don't get in. This bus will take you deeper into the darkest part of your fear." But Vivek had made up his mind. If he wanted to save Alma, he couldn't run from fear. He had to face it and defeat it. Stepped inside the bus. Unnatural heat surrounded him. The seats were soaked in blood outside the windows. There was only darkness then. On one seat, he saw something. A piece of Alma's sari. It was a torn piece of Alma's sari with trembling hands. Vivek picked it up. It still carried her scent. The fragrance of tulsi and sandalwood she always used in her prayers. But this bus, this place, what was all of this? "Alma," he shouted. With all his strength, no answer came. The bus lights flickered back on, and one by one, the seats began to fill again. But now, they were not people. They were shadows with only one thing in their eyes. Silence so heavy, it didn't even allow you to scream then. From the seat in front, someone slowly turned their head. Vivek's breath froze. It was Alma, but her eyes were pitch black, her face expressionless, and her lips spoke no word. "Alma, I'm here, look." Vivek cried. Alma looked at him for a moment, then slowly spoke. "You kept running from fear, my son." "I didn't. I was waiting for you. I'll take you out of here. Come with me." Vivek pleaded. He reached for her hand, but the moment he touched it, the entire bus shook violently. Seats began to scream. Windows shattered on their own, and blood seeped from the walls. "Time is running out," Alma's voice, now split into two, one filled with motherly love, the other deep and terrifying, as if someone else inside her was speaking. "If you take me outside, this ritual will remain incomplete, and then this bus will never let you go." Vivek shut his eyes. He had to choose. Defeat the fear or lose everything. The clock inside the bus began counting down. 30, 29, 28. Vivek took a deep breath. "I will take you with me, no matter what happens," he said. He gripped Alma's hand with all his strength. For a moment, everything froze. Then the bus doors swung open by themselves. A blinding light flooded. Inside, the shadows burst into flames. The seats turned to ash, and a piercing scream echoed outside the bus. Then silence hit. Was morning. Vivek lay unconscious on the ground beside him. Alma was also unconscious, but alive. Both were found near an abandoned bus on the edge of a village. The bus was burnt, its interior completely destroyed. No one else was. Inside, when the police arrived, they wrote in their report, "No passengers found, driver missing. One young man and an elderly woman found unconscious." On the charred bus wall, there was just one word scratched into it: fear. We are certain, friends, that you must have enjoyed this story. And if you too have such untold encounters, please share them with us. We will surely feature them on our channel, so please share and subscribe, and stay with us to hear more such untold stories.